All right, so here's a little bit of a treat. We're into Stu Charlton of Elastra at a Tivoli conference. How do you like that? Hey, so what are you up to? What are you doing here?
We're just, the Elastra is built so enterprise cloud software for private and public and hybrid clouds, and so, one of the companies, there's a lot of existing systems and service management infrastructure out there, Tivoli, HP, BMC, and so we have to interoperate with a lot of it, and we have a lot of prospects dealing with that. So we're saying, let's look at what Tivoli's doing in the cloud and what where IBM's going with it. So I'm here to meet with customers, meet with IBMers, and see what the deal is.
Well, Elastra's always been, I think from the first time we've ever spoke, you guys always kind of had looking at the enterprise spin on everything. You wanted to be more of an enterprise play, even in a traditional SMB market.
Yeah, so Kirill Shankman, our founder, is the Plumtree founder, and I'm from BEA. I was, lead SOA guy in Canada, and then I did worldwide consulting for a while, and, half of us are BEA and IBMers, and so, the real idea is, okay, if you believe cloud computing is actually a big change, it could be a big change in a couple ways. It could be like, well, all right, like everything's going to be thrown out, and what you got to do everything brand new. Or it could be sort of, okay, some stuff's got to be thrown out and done new. Some things can be evolutionary brought into play. And so that's how enterprises tend to look at it, is because you don't have that luxury.
Right.
So that conservatism sort of like is what led to us to our products. And we started with this sort of on-demand approach. And, we're evolving that to help enterprises with the way they do service management and service design, really.
Oh, cool. And so, kind of my mission here this week was to try to understand really what the IBM Cloud is, and trying to put it all together. There's some interesting things, and so what's your kind of overall assessment of what you've seen about?
Well, it's interesting because at the general session today, I tweeted about this. I said that IBM's definition of the cloud is actually quite crisp. It's SOA plus virtualization plus service management, and it's a style delivery that combines the three. Now, of course, you have to actually define SOA. When you do that, and you got to, all that. So, if you understand though, this is something a lot of people have asked: is all the cloud really that it's anything as a service? And I guess the answer is, well, in a way, yeah. It really is different levels of services, and at the level you want to consume it at, you don't care about what goes below the contract. But there's a whole lot of implications, and the devil's always in the details. And so it's really easy to just say, oh, that's all cloud is. But there's the devil's in the details, and I think that, in a way, I'm kind of happy that IBM said that, because it's kind of what I've always felt cloud computing was I came out of this SOA world at years, and it was sort of, you're trying to map it to these crazy abstract business problems. And in a way, what's refreshing about cloud computing is we're going to take this technology and these approaches like web architecture and SOA and apply them to a real meaty, tangible problem, which is the sprawl of IT and the morass of managing IT. And there's been a lot of thinking in business domains. Let's actually apply it to our own domain. Shoes for the cobbler's children, as they say. So.
Yeah. So I guess that's what I'm trying to understand here, because there's that whole debate about SOA being dead, and not really, but that's a kind of a silly argument. But it is kind of, we are seemingly coming full circle here, right? Like.
Yeah. Well, there's SOA, the idea, and that's the problem with that is just like cloud computing, it's a completely ambiguous term, and
right.
Will those be dead? Well, I don't know. It's like the joke is like define love.
Yeah.
Define clouds, define SOA.
Right.
But there is a backlash against certain technology in SOA, like web services,
right.
That there's been a lot of investment in by IBM and a few others. And Elastra, we use a RESTful architecture, but we call it RESTful SOA because it has the same ideas. It's just it's using hypermedia and it's using semantic web stuff under the covers. But the business and the architecture ideas that are independent of the technology, those still continue on because there's stuff that we've thought of for years. Modularity is a good thing,
Yeah.
Abstraction is a good thing when thought through properly. So separation of concerns. None of these things go away, even though it became an industry fad for a few years. And I think, same thing with cloud. A lot of it is just stuff that we've wanted to do for a while. It's a matter of what catches people's attention.
So I'm going to kind of put you on the spot. So what you've seen today, do you think that, there are, as you as a vendor, is this something like, wow, we still got a big jump on them? Or, Like I think at one point you said, that it's great to see things on paper, but the real complexity is how do you actually deliver this stuff.
Well, the thing about a vendor like IBM is that they have lots of pieces, and if light hits their product portfolio in the right way, yeah, they do a lot. I think the challenge is bringing it together and actually doing something cohesive with it. And I think anybody, even at GBS or GTS at IBM would agree that that's the challenge. Is how do I take all these various pieces and bring them together into something that meets the specific use cases or meets the specific requirements, and that's where startups come into play. Is they come up with something much more holistic, and they try to leap the market a couple areas. Like one of the areas that I think that is missing in a lot of the discussions here is, partially because it's a Tivoli conference, but
Right.
it's very focused on service management, but not on design. I mean, how do you deal with that? The culture of WebSphere and design and SOA is very different from the culture of service management. And bridging that gap, that's something that Elastra is trying to do with a lot of our tools. I mean, obviously it's a large hill to climb, but we're going to try. And I think someone like IBM or HP or these guys, they have to go there eventually, or else this stuff's just going to be yet another tool on the pile.
Right.
It's not going to be transformational.
Cool. All right. Well, good. Well, thank you very much for stopping by.
Thanks.